welcome home.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm always so happy to be here.
Yeah, you are a Detroit boy, born and raised. Were you born here or born in Ghana?
Here. Born here.
Born here. Tell me about
here.
growing up here, your childhood.
Yeah, so I grew up between here in Ghana, but like mostly here. I'd say 90% of my time was spent in Detroit.
Detroit.
And you know, I grew up in Boston Edison. Like a really cool like old house. I went to U of D Jesuit High School. Went to Friends School in Detroit. Before that, from first grade to 8th grade, then U of D Jesuit. Went to Wayne State University. Didn't graduate, but I did go there.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. And you studied theater while you were there.
I studied theater while I was at Wayne.
Where'd you get bit by the comedy bug and the?
So I got bit by comedy bug. So I was. There was a theater group called the Harlequins at U of D Jesuit, and my friend was taking classes at Second City downtown, and where it used to be in Hockeytown Cafe. And so I went to see his show, and I was like, "What? This is Second City! Oh my goodness!" So then I started taking. So I went and I performed in like an improv jam where they had like the audience come up and like do games and stuff, and. I did a game and I got a laugh, and it was like the biggest laugh, and I was like, this is forever for me. This is
maybe I could do this.
Chasing that dragon to this day. And so then I started taking classes there when I was in high school, and then started performing there. Then I left Detroit because I got hired to do a cruise ship. I worked on a cruise ship for Second City, and so I moved onto the ship and then moved to Chicago from there. That was like 2008, 2007.
So you were doing stand-up on a cruise ship?
It was improv and sketch. But
I
just
see.
like living my life just performing on a cruise ship.
On a cruise ship. Boy, that allowed you to get a lot of reps in, I'd imagine.
A lot of reps, because like you know, I was only working like 2 days a week, but when I was performing in front of like 1,500 people twice a night. So those reps, but then like truly. Performing here prepared me for performing there, because learning improv and learning comedy in Detroit, like downtown, I really got a sense of what my voice for comedy was and like how to like connect with an audience, because like Detroit audience isn't gonna just kind of like they'll go with you, but you have to bring them.
Right.
Right. Where like I performed in like Chicago and I performed like in LA and all these things, and they're like. The audience, they're like, huh? Well, we already knew. Oh, this is gonna be funny. But like in Detroit, it's like, is this funny? And so you learn immediately. They're like, it is. Trust me. And so then you trust it. So when we moved to Chicago, they're like, how are these guys so funny immediately? Because because we trained in the place, So yeah, that's. I learned a lot from performing here.
In Detroit. That's fantastic. So you knew in high school, what was it about? I mean, I talk to people all the time that are famous like yourself that are from here. I'm not from here. It's something about Detroit, right? Was it something at U of D that instilled this drive in you, this grit, this this is what I want and I'm going after it?
I think like the city itself, like everybody here, well, it's hard to say everybody, but there's a tenacity, and like a spirit that like everybody shares here. And so like whatever you apply it to, it could be like, so like, for me it was comedy, and just being able to use that sort of energy that I really do feel like I carry like my energy from here everywhere I go. And if that makes me super buoyant, is because I'm like, nothing can faze me.
Because I'm from Detroit.
I'm from Detroit. Like, you're not gonna scare me. And I'm smiley, but I'm very savvy.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I think those are all Detroit skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So when you come home and like you were out at the concert the other night,
Yep.
Do people recognize you?
Yeah. It's kind of wild too, because like so now I come home and so we had the show Detroiters that we filmed here.
It has a cult following.
Which is wild to me that I get to come home and everybody's like, yeah, Detroit. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I used to perform right there and I used to go to school right here. But so the week Detroiters aired, I came to Detroit for a screening. And literally the first person off the plane, the guy, you know, who has like a wheelchair on the tarmac, was like, "Hey, Detroiters." And I was like, wow. It was like truly. So like if I'm walking down the block or if Tim and I are walking down the block, people stop and they honk and stuff. Like, "Hey, Detroiters." So which I really appreciate that. Nothing feels better. You know, I've had the opportunity to do a lot in my career. You know what I mean? I've been on stage for the Emmys and like all these things, but like that is truly like the most sweetest, like rewarding thing is to like be recognized in my home city.
Yeah, absolutely. Do people typically ask or comment about a popular skit like the beer?
Yeah, like
what,
yeah.
what do they say?
A lot of times it's like warm beers, you know, hot beers.
Hot or cold.
Hot or cold. That's down a lot.
Yeah.
You're talking beers too. If people ask me who's the chump of the week a lot.
Yeah.
Like I think out of all the things, truly, and it's really not lip service. Like doing Detroiters was my favorite thing because I created it myself with my best friend. I got to film it here in my hometown. That's like out of everything I've done, Veep, Champagne Hill, you know, After Party, Ted Lasso, all these things. Truly, Detroiters is my grand opus.
Yeah. That's your thing. That's your thing.
That's my thing.
No, that's
I'm
great.
most proud of. So, yeah.
So a lot of people love Ted Lasso. Do we know if it's renewed for a fourth or?
I don't know. There's and like I can't speak on that like for
yeah,
sure, but
that's fine.
it seems like this is the.
That might be the last.
This might be.
Why do people love that show so much? What do you think?
I think it's just a very positive show with a positive message in a very cynical time. And like that show came out when like right in the core of like lockdown and
COVID. People needed something.
People needed something, and like there was this buoyant, positive show that people weren't. You know, it like caught them on an off beat. And the show's also so well written. You know, it's my friends Jason and Joe and Brendan created that show and made that show. So. And you know, a lot of the DNA of that show is Detroiters. Like Joe co-created Detroiters with me and Tim and Zach. So there's a lot of that sort of
feel and vibe
in there.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so I'm not saying it's like a one for one.
No,
but there's like certainly it's in the DNA is
the
mixed.
DNA is there. Yeah, that's awesome. So, what are you working on now?
So right now, the second season of After Party, my show on Apple TV, comes out July 12th. So the first season. Is on Apple TV. But the second season comes out soon. It's another. The first season was a high school murder mystery, where each episode is told from a different perspective about there's a murder and everybody's retelling the story in a different genre of film, like a Rashomon. So the second season comes out on July 12th, and it's at a wedding reception. Okay. So that comes out very soon. Yeah, next week you may see me on Ted Lasso again. Edwin Kufu may make a return. I don't have to make it a secret anyway. They put it in the promo, so I'll see you in Ted
we'll watch
Lasso
for that.
also.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So that's what you're working on now. What about in the future? Any things cooking that you want to share?
No, nothing.
It's okay.
This is my retirement.
No. Yeah. Do your parents, are they still here?
My parents are. My parents literally right now are in Ghana, but they do live here on Jefferson. I won't say specifically where because nobody needs to know.
No,
that.
we won't say that.
But yeah, they're
East Side. They live on the East Side.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. So your parents are still here. How often do you get back home?
I try and get back here as often as I can, which isn't as often as I'd like, but that equates to maybe a couple times a year.
Times a year. What when you come home, is there a certain place that you have to eat or have to go for a beer or?
So there was a bar in Hamtramck that used to be my main go-to. It's called Seven Brothers Bar, but that's since closed. So now, you know, I'll try and stop through Temple Bar over here and there because it's a show from it's a bar from Detroiters, and you know, Buddy's Pizza. Like I do all of, like the touristy spots, but they are like so great, and I do miss them. So I'll get the Buddy's Pizza, and I'll get like a Lafayette Coney Island and all those things. But you know, I got to get an Olga. Grilled cheese Olga with super cheese. I need it. You know.
That's great.